Hi, Brian.
Hi, Itai.
How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. How about you?
I'm okay. Thanks. Brian,
Yes.
uh, I asked you before, but so sorry if I repeat my question. The latest version of the link layer spec is the revision A 0.9. That's the
There's a 1.0 that's on the GitHub, I think. Let me double check to make sure that's actually numbered right.
so,
We're working on version 2 right now.
okay,
Um,
but the latest official one is
uh, that's weird. Here, let me. The one in our Google Drive, which says 1.0. Let me see if there's any difference between those
but
two. I
but,
did
but
not
in
realize how
the
Git.
in the GitHub there it's 0.9. You see it?
Yeah, I noticed that. Yes.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. Where did the yeah, the one on the Google Drive is actually dated later and everything too. I don't know what the difference between the one on GitHub and the one on Google Drive is. I'll have to do a diff offline or something on that. But
Okay.
and I don't know who controls the GitHub either. Maybe is Helia on? Helia, do you know how the GitHub is controlled? Who has that account?
No, I don't. Actually, I have a link to the spec, the PDF spec, and a draft that we have on the Google Drive.
So I can drop the
But
GitHub link here. Hold on one sec. So
Okay.
this is actually
I think that
This
yeah,
is
I
actually
think that the Google
discussion topic too we can have. Okay. I think
the,
the takeaway from previous Friday's meeting with the new and everybody was that I think we're going to get our own separate wiki page, and we're going to try
mhm.
and put together a more
So the one that you
categorical. Say again.
so the link you put now on the chat, it's the one for the from
That's
the GitHub, and it's 0.9.
correct.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah,
and
I was
I
just
think
giving it
that
to Helia because she was saying she only had the Google Drive link.
I see, because as you said in the wiki page, so I started work on the wiki page of the system Workstream, and I wanted to give to put a link to the link layer. So I think that only the GitHub is the one that is open for everyone. So I don't think I can give.
Anyone can get to the Google Drive. The Google Drive is completely open from what I've been told.
But let me see. I think there is a spec online. Let me find a link.
So here, yeah, I
So
just
Brian,
posted the GitHub link,
Yes, I
and
got that. Thank you very
yeah,
much.
that one says 0.9,
uh,
and our Google Docs link, our Google Docs version says 1.0, and it's dated a month later, which I'm assuming was
can
the
you put the
actual
link?
version that was supposed to be released.
Can you put
But
the
this,
link also in the chat to the Google Drive document?
sure.
And I'm sure you have the link to the PDF on the spec on the OCP website. Let me
I
put
didn't
Is
it
it
find
on
here.
the
on the.
OCP website?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I just put it there. And that one is PDF and that one is version 1.0.
Okay. Yeah, that matches the Google Drive one.
Yeah, so I think for if you want to put a link, I would recommend putting the OCP link.
So,
Okay.
well, I'm not sure how either one of those gets updated. So I'm looking at the users. It looks like David was the actual one that committed these things to the GitHub. So I guess we have to just apply to become a user on this GitHub in order to do a push or whatever. I don't use Git very much.
Yeah,
And
I
so
wonder.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
Brian. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, it just had a question. Go ahead, please.
So I was just saying, it sounds like we need to get we need to get accounts with permissions here, and then and make sure these docs are updated. And then I guess there ends up being an open question about what we do for our wiki page, like which versions that we end up linking to in that case.
So I think that we only send, at least we have 1.0, and I think there is a process to officially publish a version, and we plan to do that for 2.0. And I know when specs are officially reviewed, they will have a link on the OCP website.
Yeah. So
So the versions in between probably are not suitable to be put online or on the wiki page or on the OCP.
well, actually, that is something I'd like to talk about a little bit. So on here, I haven't looked at these GitHubs until since these documents were put up here until recently when we during this wiki discussion, right? So one of the things is we brought up was that if you look at your profiles and variants, it's really only really only lists the Ventana ones, which I guess is what David David uploaded, right? We actually talked about a bunch of other ones that we talked about releasing, not as in some sort of white paper like status saying, hey, these are tentative profiles and variants, or these are profiles and variants with maybe we can, I don't know, we can come up with a language. But the point was these were also going to be open on there, and they're actually not in the Google Drive or on this or on the GitHub. So
Brian,
they're just nowhere. So I think
Brian,
that's something also we have to figure out what we want to do in terms of in terms of like tentative documents that are done, but we don't want to call official from a a drafting point of view.
Brian, this profile, each document, it describes a different profile or a group of profiles?
Um, the the terminology on these documents that David posted is a little yeah, these are profiles. I mean, there's a bus protocol variant here, right? Which is supposed to be the standalone just mapping doc. But then on the profiles, um, I guess they can be standalone profiles from that point of view. Yeah, he only has like some of these profiles just have one bus in them, right? Where they're not a, most profiles, like if you look at this interface, it is or this document, it's actually multiple buses in the profile.
Okay.
And I think this was David had a single document before that for his Ventana stuff that had a whole bunch more information, and I think he just broke it up in order to fit our. That's what these documents are. He broke it up to meet our bus protocol variant and profile document structure.
Okay.
I need
And
to go
it's
review these
also
again because oh no, this one's mine. Okay, this is the one I wrote. Okay, so this is actually. Okay. All right. I understand what this is. This is an older document. Okay. This needs to be changed.
Is this sorry, because this is Morgan Wakely from Infineon, and I actually have questions on all of this on this aspect of it. Right?
Yeah.
What is there something that I can go and use, or do I need to develop my own kind of AXI interface? Right.
Yeah. So these are all the best way I can term these things is their examples. So this is actually a misnamed document here. This is actually supposed to be bus protocol variants. And so what the idea is that if what you want at the end of the day is a profile, right? And so, for instance, the only profile that's actually properly named in this directory right here is this one right here. And this includes a number of different buses, AXI5, Chai in this case, in order to define a full protocol stack for a die-to-die interface, right? And it includes both, obviously, both those buses and all of the TLP identifiers that go along with the packet types. The idea is that when you make one of these profiles, you construct it out of these bus protocol variants, right? And so that's why these are broken out in case you want to build other profiles. Again, I think this one again is also misnamed. So I think these were earlier versions of the docs before we had changed the names of them. And I've never had control of this GitHub, so I don't. They didn't get updated from our other ones, so we can go do that. But the information's probably right. It's just the names are wrong. But anyway, so for instance, this would be a bus protocol variant.
What do you mean names are wrong?
The name of the document is wrong. This should be
No,
called
yeah,
a bus protocol variant.
Which one? All of them are wrong, or
just these three that say profiles, I think are supposed to be bus protocol variants.
Okay.
And this profile is actually a profile. It doesn't really matter, I tell you the truth. From this point of view, you can use them however you want, right? But the point is that in order to you can think of these either as examples or white papers on how to build a profile, right? These bus protocol variants. And these are mappings that the group discussed that we would advise, making trade-offs, and that would align to the granule sizes for the when you're doing the granulation into the LLPs, because you only have one protocol packet per TLP in revision A, right? This was a quote unquote restriction of revision A that we haven't changed going forward since we're still in revision A. There's one protocol packet, which means basically one bus. Well, that's not right. One bus transaction, however many beats that is. One bus transaction is in a protocol packet. One protocol packet is in a transaction layer packet, and one transaction layer packet header is in a link layer packet, though you can split those over the two. And so from that perspective, you do need to, it's best if you align these, the amount of data that's in a bus protocol mapping, which is what the bus protocol variants are. They're mappings of these buses into these packet sizes, it's best to align them to the granule size of the link layer packet at the end if you want to maximize the number of bits you're getting across the link and the efficiency. And so what this
And
is
does it
doing,
define the phi also?
excuse me?
It implicates. So it's I'm asking because something that the phi team said. Does it also define how the phi should be configured?
That's in the transaction link layer spec. Not, what do you mean by configured?
They also discuss variants or profiles. So they are also using the term profiles, and
This is
also
100% about protocol layer to transaction layer mapping. That's it, right?
okay.
Well, how it's used past that when you go down from transaction layer to link layer and link layer to physical layer is totally on the spec data stream side, right? This is really about getting these things into packets and establishing the identifiers that are used in the packets for the TLPs. But anyway, so it's just aligned to the granule size. So what we did is we went through, for instance, in this case, AXI5, looked at all of the different fields and all of the different channels within the bus protocol, and made mappings that we felt that was the best trade-offs, right? So for instance, on for extended profile, right, you're going to use basically, that's a bad example here. Anyway, the point is that it's the best bang for buck that we thought for the features there. Now you may decide, you know what, the whole system is kind of built around SOC disaggregation, and you may be working with a system that has way more user bits, write and read user bits. And so you're like, well, it doesn't fit any of these guys. I really need one more. Well, you can define your own bus protocol variant and your own profile from that if you want, right? But these are also, but we felt these were all good trade-offs. I think I'd like to though also point out is that the only profile that I know in the market that has been implemented from the ones that are on here is the Ventana one. They've implemented that one, right? So we know, there's no, but it's also
which is the last document.
Yes, the only one that should be called an interface profile. But again, the fields that are in this are all relatively. This one's using this document is using this document, and I don't know what the width is. One of those two widths. No, that's AXI Lite. No, it's this one right here. Probably a 32-bit AXI Lite. Yeah. So it's probably using those two bus protocol variants in this document. So there is a we do need to double check that these names are right in this GitHub that David had. I sent a collection of documents, and I need to go back to my email to Boppy when this happened. We go, okay, here are the final documents. These are what need to get posted. And it sounds like what's actually on the GitHub was what David was posting at the time as his work in progress stuff. These should all be right, to be fair, Morgan, because these were. I doubt the actual technical information of these changed during the document naming and stuff. Let's see, what was the dates on? It's all still all 3 years ago. So this is something that David just uploaded at probably all at once. But I need to go back and look at that official set to make sure that there's no other text that's missing from there. I'd also say that we also have a bunch of other ones, like we have AXI Stream and I think we have ATB and things like that, right? That were done at the same time. But we didn't have anybody committing to doing hardware implementations of those. So we weren't like, all right, everybody should use these, right? We're going to put these out there more for public comment and everything and say, hey, does anyone disagree with the way we've aligned these granules or whatever? But it doesn't seem like that actually happened on the GitHub for some reason. And
Is it possible to get access to those? Because I mean,
yeah,
we're kind of like we'd like to try and follow as much as what's there without kind of going off the reservation, but at the moment, or this is quite difficult, without having any idea what was done in the past, right?
right. Yes, yes. I don't think there's nothing secret in those documents, and because we put our work in progress stuff in the public, I need to go find out exactly what versions that we kind of talked about and kind of voted on internally. And I'll make sure those get on the Google Drive at least. I don't know whether there's any further bar here for this GitHub stuff and what the difference is here in terms of things are here specifically. But Morgan, if you can send me a reminder email, so I'm sending it to the right person. I'll make sure and get you get a link to that Google Drive for those documents at least.
Okay.
Brian, do you think Google Drive is the best place or
No.
OCP website?
I think the Google Drive is great for our work in progress. And so
Yeah.
because of the documents I'm talking about, I think though they need to at least be there. I think we do need to figure out whether we're going to continue to use this GitHub as the golden links for public publication, or whether we need obviously there's an ODSA link, right? But I don't know how what that kind of version control is.
So pure speculation here. I think the Google Drive replaced GitHub the way that I think they have been used for version controlling and whatnot.
Okay.
But it seems that it has partially replaced. Some of the documents are here that were not there. At least I think all of those specs that are in the GitHub that are official and reviewed, they need to find their way one way or another to the OCP website.
Okay. Are we going to sunset the GitHub effectively?
I don't know. That's a good question for the whole open chiplet economy subgroup. I never used it myself.
Yeah, again, until this was recently pointed to me, I didn't even realize which exactly protocols and variants and stuff like that we actually had on here. So I just assumed that the stuff that I gave Boppy had been published, but it doesn't look like it actually had.
Yeah, the Google Drive is not, maybe it's not public. There are no links to it. The GitHub is, if you search for OCP and stuff, then you will reach the GitHub.
That is right, Itai. So I think it's good that the Google Drive is not published, but is accessible with everyone, to everyone.
I've been told by people outside the organization that they could get to it.
Yes, it is accessible, but it is not published or advertised.
Okay.
Right?
If you don't know the link, you won't get it. Maybe that's.
But if anybody who has the link or attendees calls can ask and
Yes.
can access the link. And particularly because those are work in progress. I think the idea is that we keep them as work in progress and we publish them when they are ready and reviewed.
Yeah. No, okay, but what I'm saying is that when people search for the document, when I search for the link layer spec, I didn't find it in the OCP webpage. I found it in the GitHub. So I found an older version in the GitHub, the 0.9. So that needs to be
When I
fixed.
search on Google, it points me to OCP website.
Okay.
I
got the GitHub.
Again, I think the original point when we were started with this, when some of these topics were brought up too, was that this working group doesn't have a wiki page, and so there's no definitive page saying, "Hey, this is the official version."
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that we'll be trying to sort out in the very near future, I think.
But Ryan, when you send Morgan the link to the Google Drive, can you send it also to me?
Yeah, sure. Let me write
I wrote my email in the chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my email because I don't have your email, Brian.
Okay. And so here also, like I guess I was saying too, I think we need to clarify. We have some documents in limbo, right? That weren't like we wanted to publish as they were published at the same time as the spec. They were sent to Boppy, in terms of, specs, the same time, but they weren't. We didn't have consensus and stuff like that. I'm trying to find the right word here. We felt that they were good specs, but there were no hardware implementations behind them. So we wanted to publish them as white papers or as examples, as examples. And we didn't know how to, from a group point of view, understand how to publish those. And they were, again, I sent them all to Boppy and assumed that they were published somewhere, and it sounds like they're nowhere. So again, for people like Morgan that are going to be implementing solutions, they would like to, it would be good to have these examples that they can use either as best protocol variants or as ways to build their variants around.
We definitely publish white papers. Other Workstream have published white papers, and that's a great topic for white paper.
Okay, so I mean, they're already done. They're just not.
I think we call them white paper and we put them
okay.
on the...
Let's okay. When we're putting together the wiki page, I guess we can figure out a separate labeling for them or something like that. Yeah.
So these are examples.
They're bus protocol variants. I mean, they look exactly the same as, whoops, that's wrong. This one right here. This should say bus protocol variant, but basically it says, all right, here's an AMBA bus. And we may have other ones. We need to write some more, but here's an AMBA bus. And then here are some different versions of that AMBA bus, right? In terms of what optional fields you may pick. And then here's how you would map them into TLPs or protocol layer packets, either way. And so people could then use those bus protocol variants when building their profiles. And so, but again, the point, the reason I wanted to call them something different was because nobody's building hardware nobody was building hardware at the time. I have no idea if people have done so since then. I mean, this spec right here is in the same vein. I haven't personally built hardware around each of these different profiles, right? So they weren't hardware tested from my side. I don't know if other people have, but it's the same thing. It's just we're missing all the other specs that went along with this spec when we were putting this stuff together. And they all got reviewed by the groups and we had discussions on them, right? But they're even simpler because they're things like AXI stream, right? Which is just a big data field. So anyway, regardless, we need to figure out a home for those kinds of things too, and how we're going to label those in the wikis. And then we need to make a decision about when we do that, whether we remove this stuff on the GitHub that will also be doing the same thing. Okay, let's switch topics a little bit. So I did some work on the version 2 spec that incorporates our control path in the transaction link layer spec this week. And I went through all of, I've done, there's a variety of things that documents I've had some comments on that I'm working on. I need to get, as an example, so I integrated the introduction here. This probably needs some more work. But I took our whole control path introduction and condensed it down to this small bit that fits in the same format as the introductions that the existing transaction link layer introduction does. And then I might take some of the other material and put it into the overview. We do have a number of diagrams in the document that, again, I need to talk to David about getting the sources for, so I can either add them as a side, just decide whether I'm going to add them as a side piece or do new diagrams that are in the same style, so it matches the aesthetic of the original document. But I did go through, and in the terminology section, this is also a quibble of mine. I did not realize when we published this document, we had so many fix-me's throughout the document, but there were a number of missing definitions in the terminology section, and we needed to merge the terminology between the existing transaction link layer and the new control path definitions. So so I've gone through and I've highlighted and done some bold stuff here. People can either read these offline. I might want to go through and talk about a few of these real quick.
Yeah. Can you write the link to this document also in the chat?
This is in the Google Drive.
Yeah.
If you can get to the Google Drive, it's under work in progress, TLL version 2.
Is it possible you could just send a link? Unfortunately, I seem to be able to open if you send me a link, but I don't think I can actually go there.
Yeah, 1 second.
Me also. There is if you send a link to the lower document, you can go up. So
I don't seem to be able to go up. I can.
Yeah,
I can get the
also.
version 1 that you sent earlier, which is even a surprise to me.
So I just posted a link to the work in progress folder. See if you can access that. This should be publicly accessible.
Okay, I've got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
I also got it, but
yeah. So
only once you send it, we can.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, whoops! Did I opened another. Anyway,
so which document
make sure
is
that
it in this folder?
So just let me just tell you what's in this. This is the current control path spec that we based. We're basing everything off of, right? This is what we agreed to. I don't know. Was this like a month or two ago, right? When in March. No, it's not right. Yeah, it is in March, 2 months ago. Oh, it's just turned. Anyway, I'm babbling. Sorry. So anyway, this is the control path spec that we had kind of finished all the formatting, everything like that on. But it was done in Word, and then we kind of decided that we were going to be merging this in with the transaction link layer spec. So if you're just looking at the control path, look at the control path spec. This is just change tracking for the previous document. So you can see this document here was we decided to switch over to Word for the last bit on the control path spec in order to finish up cross references and stuff like that, which may have been a bad idea, but either way, this is just a version that is before we switch to Word. So if we needed to get at old comments and stuff like that, those are there. These are all just kind of other working stuff.
So which one should I look at? Which one is the full one that?
The one that I'm editing right now is this one at the top, this TLL version 2. So this has this document integrated with the transaction and link layer spec. And now I'm editing all the text in order to make the two merge together.
Okay. So the TLL version 2, that's the most relevant one.
If you're only interested in the control path, which is the sideband link management stuff, you can read this spec right here. We don't expect to change any technical language. Right, I take that back. We don't plan on changing any technical content when merging here. There will be language changes though, because there are some definition changes and things like that. So things are going to have to get clarified, and there's going to have to be some language tweaks. And I have to rewrite the whole introduction section and stuff like that, because I'm basically making. Well, here, let me actually just show that. That might be relevant too for discussion. So right now, we have everything's kind of broken up because it was assumed that this was a standalone document when it was originally written. And so you do have an introduction and everything, and then we have the link control protocol, and we have the sideband protocol, or the three big sections, right? And so when integrating in the transaction link layer spec, I just basically said, the easiest thing to do is just to make each of these as a chapter. And because they are somewhat standalone, because you can treat them independently, because the link control protocol can be run over a different kind of sideband, and the sideband protocol can carry things other than the link control protocol. Then they're basically separate layers in the sideband stack, which matches the format of the other transaction link layer document. So I'm keeping those as chapters, and then I'm going to merge the introduction, kind of splitting it up into the introduction that's in the TLL, and then into the separate subsections where that doesn't make sense. And so going back to the TLL, so if you go all the way down, there's a link control protocol chapter and a BOW sideband protocol chapter. Now, some of these things up here are, I may have to change some of the names to make them to disambiguate, but because we have one big chapter for the transaction layer, one big chapter for the link layer, and then all of the physical aspects, instead of being in like a physical layer, all get separate chapters. So whether I rename those or group those, I haven't decided yet. I need to look and see how it reads and how big those are. But either way, again, there's no plan right now to change any of the technical content. It's all verbiage or illustrations and things like that to make sure that the document reads properly and there's no confusion. And again, I think from most of this stuff, there's really no reason to change anything at all. I think I'm just need to double check that nobody would be confused reading the document. Going back, but like I said, originally there are a bunch of fix me's here. Not a bunch. There's like 6 of them. And I guess that, David didn't get to them when he was doing them and assumed someone else would be doing them when he left, and nobody picked up that ball. And I didn't know they were here, and I didn't start editing until probably, I don't know, what was it, like a year or more later, right? I think Boppy was doing, Rom edited his control path spec, and then Boppy was editing this and the other spec. And anyway, we all just kind of forgot to fix these things in the spec. So we can fix them for version 2. So that's one of the things we're doing as I'm integrating. So, okay. Back to the original topic at hand. I have a bunch of definitions here, and I'll go ahead and just pick a couple here to read out as we discuss, and then we can, if people have time, they can take a look at the document and see if they have any other changes they would like to do. I'd also like to say, if you want to provide feedback outside of the meeting or pre-meeting for discussion, feel free to comment on the document that's on the drive, right? And we can discuss those. I think only a handful of people have edit privileges, but I think anybody can comment. So yeah, just feel free to comment if you're on this call. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, great.
Okay, so
Thanks.
all of the text here that I have in bold is new. And so you can see there are quite a few words that we use in the document that were highlighted as needing definitions that nobody wrote a definition for before. So that's all this is all the new text that should be reviewed. And when I was doing them, I took my best stab at them. The words that have the green background are ones that I either merged from the control path or ones I wrote from the control path when putting in here, like link control protocol. They didn't have a definition in the previous document, but it is a subsection from the control path document, and so it made sense to add this because it's going to be referred to before you get to those chapters. So I made ones there. And then the ones that are in yellow are just brand new ones that are terms that I saw were utilized a lot nobody had previously written a definition for, and or were not handled in another document that we were kind of referencing to. So I put SOC on here, which is, you know, a term of industry that everybody should know, but it seemed wrong that we were having this acronym that wasn't being defined. So, things like that. Anyway, so let's chiplet, for instance, it's used a bunch of places and nobody defines what a chiplet is. So anyway, so so we can discuss some of these definitions. So one of the ones that was on the top, we use the word BOW interface a bunch of places. And so, but there was never a never anything to distinguish what a BOW interface was from, say, just the BOW file or anything like that. And so I did say, an interface is a group of slices, and I think that works for most of the terms. I also call that, I disambiguate that as the BOW main band, though we might want to, I'm not sure if that's necessarily the best definition as well, whether we needed to break that out. Bus protocol channel, but bus protocol channel is only used a couple of places. And so again, I just say that's the separate data stream for the bus protocol, which it's going to be mapped in TLP streams and stuff like that, but it's talked about later. Bus protocol variant, a mapping of a bus protocol with the given assumptions to a protocol layer packet and or TLP. Again, this is a term that gets basically a whole subsection, several paragraphs actually describing what it is later. So it's not meant to be the entire implications of the document that is a bus protocol variant are not meant to be talked about here. Chiplet is a chiplet. Credit is a credit. And then I talk about D to D. Let's see. Interface profile, same as the bus protocol variant. Again, just a very terse description of saying it's a group of bus protocol variants plus assumptions, basically. So the layers, I think, were one I kind of struggled over on a little bit more. So we had open definitions for what the link layer was, is the transaction layer here too. Protocol layer, the link layer, the interfaces, and we don't actually say transaction layer, do we? That might be oh no, it is. It's down here. Sorry, it's on the next page. So yeah, so my mouse is acting up. So for each of those, I almost define layer with the term layer, which maybe is a wrong way to deal with that. But I basically say each layer is like a functional layer. And oh no, I actually say I should unify those definitions. But anyway, if people have better definitions for any of these, please comment, and I'll try and take your feedback into consideration for these.
Brian, sorry, I need to drop off, but one comment is that I think a good change is that to align with the BOFI group, because they also define a set of parameters and they call
their
it
number of number of definitions is very low, and for the most part we're aligned. Yeah, but that's actually something I looked at.
Yeah. So how do they call this? They call it variants, or I'm just saying to
they don't have any
keep
concepts
the same
like that.
No, they also have concept like that. They have they just call it a profile, and according to them, once you select a profile, things should be aligned, and they have several parameters for that. And so I think that the most important is to be aligned between the two groups. That's my comment.
Again, anything that they would talk about in terms of a profile or a variant is very, very different from what we're talking about. They don't really have any kind of overlap, right? Totally
It's not
different layer.
overlap, but eventually, maybe not overlap, but of course, everyone has it there. They're referring to a different layer of the connection, so it's not relevant. But in ultimately, when we need to align all the groups for one system view, then we'll need to define a profile which go across all layers. So I think the best thing is to use the same terms, and then we can collect the profile from the PHY team and a profile from the link layer team. I'm talking
I
from
see what you're saying.
from the system perspective. I'm talking. So we need to, because eventually each one has a lot of variants, a lot of options, but we need to eventually suggest maybe 2 or 3 options that will align everything. That's so my comment. So you asked about if someone have comments. So the comment is to align with the same definitions. So we can say, okay, this is profile, and we have the profile definition from the PHY, and we have the profile definition from the link layer.
In theory, the interface profile, the way the definition that we use in this specification should have everything you need, outside the documents it references, in order to do everything for the transaction and link layer in terms of.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying to use the same terms.
Okay.
If they
I don't know what
profile,
those. I don't know what term outside of what they publish in like this that I'm showing on the screen. This glossary of terms. I don't know what other terms they're using. There's no such thing as a profile in the BOW spec, right? So if there's a separate document that needs to be considered in this, then please point me at it and I'll take a look. But I don't know anything. I don't know any of the. I'm not in the systems group. I don't know any of the other terminology that's being used outside of what's in this spec.
Yes, okay, so we need to do some alignment between the groups, and they do have some definition for profile, and they do expect some definition from the upper layer, and there is a misalignment between the groups. That's what I see. I join both groups all the time and listen, and each one is looking at its own task, but there is no synchronization.
Thanks, Itai.
Yeah.
I think the interface profile that Brian put the definition in the context of the transaction and link layer spec is in the context of transaction and link layer spec. Maybe we can add a specification modifier to say that this is the link layer spec, but this is really in the context of interfaces for the transaction and protocol layer. And I'm hoping that,
yes,
at least to me, that is clear that this is profile in this layer, and I'm sure that in the system layer, there are a bunch of other profile that is applicable to the system layer.
Yeah, but there needs to be alignment between the different specification. But okay, never mind. And also, I apologize, but I need to drop off. So thanks.
Okay. Well, thanks, Itai. If you have
Thanks.
something that makes sense to look at and align to, please send it to me.
Okay. It's not something written. This is also an issue.
Okay. All right. Well, my psychic skills have a bit of an issue too here. So
yeah. So no, no, I'm not.
if there's a wiki or something like that.
Yeah, as same as you don't have a wiki, they also don't have a wiki. So as much as you have a mess in the documents, they also have a mess in the documents. So yes, it's not. I don't see it written. They just say it in the meetings.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thanks. And bye.
Bye. Yeah. So I think from a bigger point of view, if our interface profiles need to be put into some other profile that also includes, physical parameters like number of slices and things like that as well, or even outside channels or other system level assumptions, then I think that makes sense. And I talked to Ty about this before too. Like if you're actually going to do, a standardized like a chiplet connection that other people need to follow, there's probably additional information outside of just the things we're talking about here that you also want to include in the long term. Like you have the interface profile and all this stuff is really just talking about bus level connectivity, right? There's not a some expectations about maybe memory map or some expectations about I don't know, power management, things like that. Those things would also be helpful to add, or at least say, is not defined. I think makes a lot of sense too. But those things are currently out of scope for all the discussions we've had. Back to definitions. I don't think we have time to like read them all or anything like that. But again, I would like to, if people can take a look at these and see if there's anything you disagree with here in terms of the definitions that I'm merging, or if you have suggestions for better wording, especially for things like the layer, which I kind of struggled on how to define layer without the word layer. But that would also be, I'd welcome any suggestions that people had. The rest of the document here, just in terms of like what I'm planning to do next. So there's obviously a bunch of stuff that needs to be sorted from a doc side, because there are the diagram labels are going to be reformatted and fixed. Number of the diagrams, like I said, I need to figure out what to do with this overview section, whether we incorporate not the overview, sorry, the background section, whether we incorporate the sideband into this or just talk about it in the sideband section. And then on the sideband side, sorry, lost in my own.
Sorry, I missed the previous comment. You said the overview.
Sorry,
of
there's two sections in the beginning of the document. There's the introduction, which talks about just the basic stack and stuff, and then I added a truncated introduction section down here that talks about what the sideband stack looks like. And then that's the introduction chapter, and then there's an overview chapter that has this terminology that I've been showing in, and then they have this whole, in the overview they have a background which goes into a little more deeper discussion about the transaction link layer. And then I'm trying to decide whether sideband needs to be in this background section or not. And I need to go back through and read through all of David's text here and make sure that what he's saying doesn't conflict with what we're saying on the control path. Again, if you're reading this document, assuming both of these are in here, is there a glaring issue not mentioning this control path in the background section? And then I need to figure out whether I need to integrate any of that. So that was going to be my next task I do in the document, right, as I get time. And I think I don't think any of the other like functional text in the meat of the main band chapters, as far as I can remember, needs any kind of massaging from that perspective, because it's really just talking about main band, and I don't think there'd be any issue when it's talking about, because for instance, it just mentions slices, right? And so I don't think anybody's going to conflate, main band slices and sideband slices. The assumption is that when you say slice, just like in the BOW spec, you mean main band slice, and that you only mean a sideband slice when you say sideband slice. So things like that, I don't think are an issue. So I just need to make sure that it's clear in the background kind of stuff, from my opinion. And then once I'm done with the background section, then I can work on the control path section, and then make sure that, like Helia, like we talked about with the link definition, to make sure there's no ambiguous phrasings with how we deal with a link, and make sure that it's always clear that we're talking about the sideband link, and that when we're talking about the main band link in the sideband section, we're talking about only one direction of the main band link, because you can only control one at a time from that side. Well, that's not true. The link control, specifically the link control protocols commands are only dealing with one side at a time. It's the heart of the issue.
I think that should, for the most part, clarify everything without redefining a new term.
Yeah, so I just need to add some probably additional sentences here and there.
Mhm.
And there's probably a little bit of stuff that from the introduction section that because I had to really truncate that section in order to like make it fit the introduction of this one. And whether again, there's a question about whether that I put more text in the background section to clarify to pull those things in, or whether I put more of that introduction and clarification into the subsections themselves as the clarifying text. Quick Google Doc. Just sorry, Morgan.
Yeah, so I opened the Google Doc document, and I can't actually add comments now. That's probably okay. I'm not looking really to edit it, but there's no way to add comments. I can request edit access. I'm not sure you want me.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it.
I don't know how we do change control stuff, or how we do access control stuff. So that's something we can.
Okay, I made everybody a commenter.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think Morgan's a new user, so.
I just made that change. So everybody with the link can be commenter.
Okay, I'll reopen it and see if it allows me to comment.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know if we need to send you a separate link that specifically has comments on. Let me know that too, and I can send you another link.
Okay, I can comment now.
Okay.
All right. Unfortunately, it's my personal account, so I don't know if I want to be using. I don't even my company.
Forward the link to your work account or the account that you want to use.
No, I
anybody
think
with the
in
link.
Google, I think I probably need a Google work account, which I probably don't have or can have.
Oh,
But it's not a problem. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I just made a Google account with my work email, and that's what I'm using.
All right, maybe I'll try that. It's an interesting idea.
So and I'm on the hook for the figure titles. I'll do those changes, Brian.
Okay. Yeah, I think I did. Did I do one of them? Yeah, I started with one of them. So figure 1. So
okay, that's a good reference.
All I did was take the text. I made it in the normal style, and then I italicized it, and then I added the the fig, and then I did what the link thing that I did that I showed you earlier, and how to do the script on that, right?
Sounds good.
Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was going to ask change tracking. I'm not that familiar with Google Docs. Most of my work stuff is in Word.
You can click on the clock icon at the top next to the users that are, yep, that one.
Okay, so I can't get like a red line or anything like that.
So when you click on something on the past, you should be able.
Like
yeah.
Well, it sounds like I can get the version, but can I see what? All right, let me just scroll down. I don't know what I edited in that minute of the day.
It usually shows the changes highlighted.
Oh, it's going to hop to the top each time.
That's annoying. Do you want to look at the changes or?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Where do you see the changes? I mean, it's going to be highlighted, right?
Yeah, it should be. Let me.
These are all like a minute apart. I don't know what I was editing at that time.
Oh, yeah. For example, I'm looking at April 24th, and I see on page 10, I see the figure that you have changed.
I don't even see April 24th. Oh, I see. They have a named versions. Do I need to, how do I make a named version?
I think you can, it would, I don't know.
So as an example, so I clicked on an old version, right? And this was before I added any of the new definitions, right? And obviously there's new text here. Is there a way to see red line in the text that I added? Because if I go to the current version, all that's there. All the highlighting is myself.
Well, I was able to see previous version and now somehow that version disappeared.
I knew it was doing change tracking in terms of versioning, but I kind of assumed I could go back and, well, I was bolding just to make sure it was here for the conversation, but I was hoping I'd be able to also show some diffs and stuff. Okay. If you find it, just let me know. Otherwise I'll do some Googling around, see if there's a way I can generate those in another fashion, just so we have a cleaner way for people to review changes as I'm doing them.
Yeah, it's called suggesting mode under the view tab. And it's become suggestions. That's a few. So go mode.
Oh, I see.
Suggesting edits become suggestions rather than editing the document directly.
Oh, I see.
I think
Okay.
I think that's how that was my Googling that I could do.
That is different. You won't be able to edit. You only make suggestions. Somebody has to approve it. So if you go back to the top of the page, click on that clock for the history. And then that page, you see 100%. So why don't you refresh at the top? For me, next to the 100% says edit 1 of 264.
Oh,
And I can just go to that edit and it jumps to that highlighted text.
yeah, I don't see that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a permissions thing.
Oh,
Oh, here it is. Oh, it's right here.
Oh,
Here
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
Oh, that's weird.
yeah. So when you
Okay.
click on one of them, yeah, you see license.
Oh, and it's actually
Yeah.
highlighting them too. And
Yeah.
and when I did that, it brought up all of the redlining. Oh, okay. That's great. I wonder if I can print a version of this separately with the highlighting. Okay, I'll look into that some more then. All right, thank you, Julia.
Sure.
So
Okay.
Healy, how do you find that? Sorry, what do you do?
It's this right here where can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
If you click, once I clicked on that arrow, just added them all. But for some reason, this wasn't there when I had the document earlier. I had
need
to
to jump
refresh
to
the
my
tab.
next meeting. Thank you, guys. Bye.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Let's talk to you next week.
Bye now.